So right now, I just want to go over a few different fundamentals and mindsets that are really going to help us throughout our job as a business developer. And it's really going to help us just to understand how we can be successful in this function. And in order to do this, I thought we could just cover a few common challenges I see when it comes to doing a great job in business development. First challenge, it can be really difficult to get to the right person to ultimately get a deal done. And this is so critical because if we spend all of our time pitching the wrong person, a lot of times nothing ever happens. So figuring out how to get to that right person is huge. Second is creating win-win relationships. There's absolutely a ton of companies out there that would be great for you to work for and great for you. But if it's not great for them and you can't convince that to every single person that's involved in that deal, it's never going to happen. Prioritization is huge. There's 100 different people out there that you might be able to do a deal with, but some of those deals are going to yield 100x times the results. So for you, it's really important to focus on which relationships, which potential deals are going to move the needle, because selling to everybody and anybody and trying to sell these relationship partnerships with anybody and everybody can just result in a lot of wasted time compared to focusing on a few key integral relationships that can really move the needle for your business. And then lastly, getting that deal through the finish line. A lot of times it's very easy to have conversations with people, but moving that along to ultimately making something happen is something that's very challenging at times. So these are just some common challenges I see. And right now, I just want to go over just some few key mindsets to have in the process that's going to help us push through these challenges. The first one is people do things for people they like. When it comes to getting deals done, when it comes to selling, somebody's going to be more likely to do a favor for you if they like you. So it's important for us to know this so that we can ultimately give ourselves the best chance to get things done. What are some ways that we can really cultivate this? For one, take an active interest in the people that you're talking to's lives outside of business. A lot of people are just super excited to just all they want to do is talk about the deal, talk about how you can work together, instead of talking about other things when you're just building rapport with this person, like, what are you interested in? Oh, I see you have kids. That's great. And one of the things that I do is take copious notes about all the personal details of this person's life in addition to the business relationship, so that I know that I have just more data, more ways to build rapport with this person, because if they like me more, they're going to be more likely to want to work with me. The second is just continuing to be attentive to that relationship. I see a lot of people out there who the only time they email somebody or give anybody attention is when they can do something for them. And that's just not the best way to treat a relationship of somebody you want to do business with. So you want to constantly just be sending thoughtful emails, doing nice gestures, and these things can really go a long way. And lastly, if you can get in front of somebody and have a face-to-face meeting, that's going to build more rapport. It's going to give you a chance to help that person to like you more. So I always try to get FaceTime early and often. And if I'm having trouble pushing a deal through the finish line, sometimes I'll need to go get some FaceTime to make that person ultimately feel more comfortable with me and entering into a business relationship. The second mindset that I want to harp on is it's really important to just be metrics driven as a business developer. This is the key to understanding what relationships actually matter and what relationships are actually going to grow your business, and if a relationship is successful and you can prove that to the other person. So how do we just be metrics driven in business development? Number one, we define the metrics before engaging in partner activities that we are going to use to determine whether this was a successful relationship. So if for me, I'm single platform, I'm getting my menus, data distributed across all these sites, that might be time on site. It might be total menu views. It depends what's valuable to me as a company, and in our case, what's valuable to the customers that we're using that relationship to sell into. Now, once we've established the metrics, it's important that we have the proper measurement or monitoring system set up from an analytics standpoint to make sure that we're able to measure these. Because if I know what's important, what's going to help a relationship be successful, but I have no way of measuring that, well, then I'm in trouble. So you want to have all these systems set up to measure, to regularly review, so that you're on top of just understanding whether relationships are actually driving the needle for your business. And then lastly, I always think it's just an amazing practice to conduct what I call post-mortems after a relationship, or even after an interval, say 3-6 months after that relationship. So you can really understand, was this an effective relationship? Why or why not? And that's going to arm you to make better decisions in the future. The third mindset that I want to focus on is this just idea of prioritization. Because again, it's so easy for us to want to do everything and really try to boil the ocean. But if we just focus on the most high leverage activities and relationships, we're going to get 80% of the results for 20% of the effort. So let's really just think about prioritization in this business development function. And ways that I do this is, and recommend this, is first is just to get real straight on your priorities. Establish what the 1 to 3 top priorities are for business development. And examples of this are driving new signups, driving existing engagement, providing more value to existing customers, getting people to sell our product, whatever it is. Figure out exactly what those priorities are, write them down, and at every major juncture or conversation, you want to consult these priorities. Is this in alignment with what our top 1 to 3 goals are? And if they're not, you're going to have to get really good at learning how to say no. And then lastly, again, always come back to the metrics. Perform that post-mortem afterwards and understand frequently, what are the highest leverage activities for me as just an individual who's out there trying to grow my company. And I call this a marketer mindset, because a lot of times I feel like marketers are actually better when it comes to being a metrics driven person. So let's just try to be marketer mindset business development people and really understand the metrics, the data, so that we can make informed decisions. The fourth mindset that I think is really important for people to be successful is being okay with rejection. Just because somebody says no, it doesn't mean they don't like you. And the reality is you're going to get a lot of no's out there. And that's okay, because if we're persistent and we know we can provide value, there are people out there that are going to say yes. They're going to help us grow our companies. So how do we just become resilient and okay with getting rejected? Well, I think the first thing is realizing that each one of these opportunities where somebody says no to us, we can look at that as data collection, as a way to understand why somebody might say no to us, and ultimately take that information, go back, readjust our pitch, readjust our positioning to be more effective the next time that we present ourselves to a potential partner or relationship. Another thing that's important is to understand that when somebody says no to you, it has nothing to do with you or your self-worth. All they're saying is, whatever you said to me wasn't necessarily what I want. It's your words your words and maybe even your product, it's not you. So I think that's really important to understand. And then lastly, if you're having hesitation around something and you're not doing something that you know you should be doing because you're afraid of rejection, maybe like a cold call, you got to schedule it. Schedule time for that activity, because when you create just a calendar event that you've committed to this thing, you're going to be more likely to do it. So that's going to help you overcome these feelings of rejection. The last mindset I think is really important for a business development person to understand, or anybody who wants to be successful in this career, profession, function, is it's important to make things easy. The easier something is, the more likely somebody's going to say yes and ultimately comply with your request. So we always just want to make things as easy as possible for the people that we're trying to do deals with, for the people we're emailing, for the people we're talking to. And I just want to give a few examples of what this is like. So my friend, he ran biz dev at Shutterstock, and he was looking to basically hire somebody new. And instead of just saying, hey, do you know anybody on your LinkedIn network? If you look at the bottom here, he said, PS, LinkedIn is great for this. Click here to see which of your LinkedIn connections have business development in their profile. And so I didn't have to go through and search for everybody. He had this pre-populated search function in a link that made it easier for me to ultimately help him. And I clicked this link. And again, that's just an example of the easier something is, the more likely the person is to do it. Another example is my friend who wanted help with an Indiegogo campaign. And instead of just saying, hey, can you share this on social media, she had pre-constructed example tweets and Facebook posts where all I had to do was click something to ultimately do that promotion and to share it with people, which was their goal. So again, another example of just making it easier for me to say yes. So how do we do this? I think just to cultivate this mindset, it's really important just to be aware that a lot of people are lazy when it comes to this stuff and they opt for lower resistance things. So it's your job just to remove the resistance, remove the friction to somebody doing something by making it easy as possible. And anytime you get a no, I always like to think about, okay, was there something that I could have done that maybe would have made this person say yes? Was there a bottleneck in them saying yes? And when I understand this, I can go back, I can try something new the next time that ultimately will hopefully make me more successful.